The Who's today were on at Randwick. Um, it wasn't a bad meeting. There was a fair roll-up. We'll get to that meeting in a minute. Going back to meetings, we had 1,000 meetings during the week, of course. Going back to last Sunday at Wyong, the 16th of February, we had a track situation there, which was, it rained more or less all day off and on, and before race 5 that last Sunday at Wyong, it teemed, it really came down, and the track was downgraded to a heavy 8, and it got worse. So, and the Hickey Hockeys, of course, went out and inspected the track before they rode in the last race, and they did agree with the Stipes that they'd be able to get around, which they did. There didn't seem to be any bite. There was no wind. That day the rail was 4 metres out from the 1350 until the 210 where the cutaway applied. And we, as I say, there were horses that led on the fence, and there were winners that ran on from behind. And by the time the last race came along, the track was heavy. We kicked off at I think about a slow 5 or a dead 5 or whatever they call it, and it deteriorated all day, but the track played fairly well. Then we went to Warwick Farm on Wednesday, the 19th. Now, very similar to Wyong on the Sunday, we had rain there, constant rain during when we arrived, and also all during the day, and then a very, very heavy shower before the last race. There was a very heavy shower before race 4 as well. It absolutely teemed before race 4. The track after race 4, we kicked off at a slow 6, and it was, of course, by the time the last race came around, downgraded to a heavy 10. The rail that day was 5 metres out from the 1,000 metres to the winning post, and as I said, very similar to Wyong. The Hickey Hockeys, before they went around in the last race, said, look, the visibility is a bit poor, and so forth, and went out and inspected a couple of sections of the track. The Stipes went with them, of course. They said, no, we'll be able to get around here. And they got around to the barrier just before they got around the barrier. The heavens opened up again in race 7, and they ran around on the ambulance track. I don't know where they placed the barriers. I think they had the barriers, well, I hope they had the barriers on near the fence, and the runners went out there. I hope they didn't put them on the outside fence, which was the case, some people might remember, when Randwick at one stage was being dug up, which Randwick should never ever have been touched. Tommy Smith told me that with his own lips, of course, and the media is to blame for that, because of when we got television, we could see when they came around the turn, they were off the fence. They said, oh, the inside's no good here when it's wet. It had always been like that, but anyway, we won't go into that. When they of course dug Randwick up a few times now, but one stage there when they did, all of the Randwick meetings were transferred to Warwick Farm, and that year it rained. It rained for many months. It rained for half of the year that year, and it was a joke at Warwick Farm, in the chute and the 1600 metre mark and whatever. They used to put the barriers not near the running rail. They used to put them on the outside fence in the chute, 1400, 1300, 12, 11, 1000. And the horses, no one ever went for months on end there. Every time it raced at Warwick Farm, never ever went near the fence. It was first to the outside the ambulance track. Outside alleys had a huge advantage, and it brought back memories to me when this last race was run on Wednesday, because the winner, Saigon Tea, there were 11 runners. It got sort of chopped out at the start, went back to a clear last. He was looking at the entire field. They kept way off the fence, and he was the widest runner. It cut the corner, Helvetica, saving many lengths, and then tried to get off the fence, but it was worse in there, where the winner, Saigon Tea, who was very well back from $11 into $6.50, where he, and also the winner was, the second horse was Amarachi, was by far better. And as I say, they were, when you see the head on, you can see how wide they were, right on the ambulance track and wide right down the outside in the home straight. And that's how they used to race at Warwick Farm there at one stage, as I say, when they were doing the track up at Randwick. So you could be near the lead and win that day, but you couldn't stay near the fence and win. So when you do your form, you'll have to make adjustments there. Then, of course, we had a meeting at Newcastle on Thursday, this Thursday. The track was upgraded from a slow 6 to a dead 5. Excuse me, or even a dead 4, that pooty blue. I'm a lovely subject for it. Now, the rail was 1.5 metres out. There was a fairly strong nor'easterly blowing, and it could, even though leaders did get home, I'm going to allow a little bit better, give them a little bit of a bonus to leaders that did run into the win and win, because it was a little bit harder for them to do that. But the track overall, I suppose, I might be grabbing at too fine a straw there. The track overall, I thought, played fairly fair at Newcastle on Thursday. Then, of course, we went to Canterbury last night, and the track was a dead 5. The rail was in the normal position, and it was an advantage to be on the fence, but by the same token, it didn't play as leaderish and complete fence bias as we have seen it in the past. The second winner in a 1900 metre race, Filago, it settled down in last position when they went out of the back straight, ridden by the pumper, trained by Chris Waller. It was able to get stoked up by the Cassidy and circle around 8 runners, but by the time he took off going out the back, as soon as they got out of the back straight and in turning for home, he was not far behind the leaders out wide, and he outstayed them to win by 1.3 lengths. So you could come from behind and a bit wide, but I'm going to allow those horses who did make up ground from behind and then off the fence, I'm going to give them a little bit of a bonus, and runners that did save ground on the fence, I'm going to give them a little bit of a minus. Now, race at Randwick today, of course, we had the had a fairly good roll up at headquarters. And the track was upgraded from a dead 5 to a dead 4. The rail was 7 metres out. We didn't have a leader that actually led on the fence and win, but we did have 2 runners that sat outside the lead and win. And one of those, well, the first one to do it was Sweet Idea, who sat on the outside of Champagne Cat in the light fingers for the 3-year-old fillies, and the favourite in that race, Guelph, was very disappointing. And of course in race 6, the very next race, Lee Baz came across and sat on the outside of the Owl, and it was able to get home as well. The very first winner, it was able to, after leading early, give up the lead and get inside that runner after straightening and go right along the fence and win. And that was the first race. They said there was 105.2 on the screen, 4 less than the marketplace, about 101. And as I said, Greco, the runner that ran second, ridden by Corey Brown, Catwalk Corey, who's back from Singapore, finished up getting the lead coming down the side, but there was enough room on the inside for terrific Tommy Berry on Valentia to get inside it and beat it by 0.3 of a length near the line. It doesn't appear to be very big, the third horse, Chrysler, and it's at 3 wide and 4 wide throughout this race from barrier 4, ridden by Mrs. J. Taylor, and it stuck on very, very well. It was sat in 5th position, as I say, wide all the way, and it was only beaten 1.6 lengths, so its run, I think, was very good. It sat outside the favourite, Double Happy, who finished up running 4th, beaten 2.4 lengths. It was very, very disappointing. The 3rd horse wasn't a bad run. I wonder if it slotted in, maybe it could have made it interesting. Race 2, well, here they said there was 105.9 on the screen, 102 only in the marketplace, about 3 less. And did I say that the wind today, the wind was out of the southwest, possibly in what race was it? Well, the third race, possibly against Kookarai, when it led on the fence running down the back straight, but not a deter. Most of them would have been copying a wind down the back straight. So I'm not going to say that the wind had any effect on any of the results today. And in this second race, Monton, well, it finished up getting the cash. It was very easy in the market. It got out to $4 right at the close of betting. Our Desert Warrior, it didn't lead. They said Need the Dough, ridden by Neat Nathan, Tommy Terrific's brother. They said they were going to ride it closer today, and they did. It went straight to the lead, and the favourite, Our Desert Warrior, was on its outside. Monton just looked at the pair. At one stage, 3 or 4 lengths coming behind them, coming down the side, but it was very, very evident coming to the turn when Monton was able to run up behind the 2 leaders and get to their outside very easily and just roll up the rise. You could see that it was going to be very, very hard to beat. And we all saw last start when it ran 3rd. I actually marked it favourite. I said if you run that race again when it ran 3rd last start, if you run the race again, it would have been, I thought, the 5-2 favourite. I did have 1.5 off for Sam Clipperton today, still carries 61.5, but it has got a good turn of foot, whereas Our Desert Warrior is a bit more dour, and I must admit, well, it didn't run a place, the favourite, Our Desert Warrior, and Monton, after moving up to the leaders, turning for home, had too good a turn of foot, and it won by 2 lengths. The other 4 runners, the other 5 runners, when they hit the line, there was only 0.6 of a length between them. So from the winner won by 2 lengths, and it was only the runner that finished last in the race was unimpeachable, and it was only beaten 2.6 lengths, having every chance. Race 3, they said there was 105.6 on the screen, 103 only in the marketplace, and at one stage, this winner, Boogie Shoes, who was given a beautiful ride by bold Blake Shin, he sat in 4th position, 1 out, 1 back. That was more or less they raced in pairs like the trots. At one stage, the first 4 runners leading Kukuri on its outside, Transonic tucked away Diamond Gin behind the leader, on its outside Boogie Shoes. They were a good 3 or 4 lengths in front of the other 5 runners at one stage down the back. By the time they got to the turn, they were all in pairs and easing off heels. Boogie Shoes had that lovely run. It was able to ease around the heels of Transonic, who sat outside the lead, and was a little bit too strong to win by 0.4 of a length. It came off the fence from 5th position to sneak through in between runners and run 3rd. Forever Crazy ran an honest race, and so did Smart Moochie. Smart Moochie, excuse me, Smart Moochie was by far the best back runner in this race. As much as $10 was given. It only started 6, so it was 9s into 5s. Extremely well backed. It was very hard to lay the opening favourite, Divateur. We put it up the $3.40 or maybe $3.50 favourite. 5-2 the field, we said, and it was $4 begging to finish, 3-1 the field, and I'd say if the betting would have gone another few minutes, it could have even got out further. Bookies were really reaching for it at the finish. There were a few runners that were backed in the race, but it wasn't a really good betting race. Everyone was sort of saying, bookies included, that the figures weren't that good. Punters didn't really want to bet, and it was a bit of a cat and mouse job. Race 4, they said 106 on the screen for the robots, all up in the grandstands there, betting the members, the top and the not. Yeah, you got to, every time your members have a bet, you don't take what's on the board. Ask for best fluck. At least ask for the best fluck every time. Only 101 in the marketplace. Who won this race? Terra Vista. I had a complete blackout on this race. Why, I don't know. It went straight to the lead under the sun. Gee whiz, it ran along under the sun. I own the lead, of course, trains it, and it came straight across from the outside alley. There were 9 runners, barrier 9, ping straight to the lead, and it finished up running last, beaten 5 lengths. It was $26 into about $18 too. And on its out, well, looking at it was That's a Good Idea, ridden by the pumper, the stablemate to the winner. Tucked away in 4th position was the stablemate and winner Terra Vista. On its outside, we had My Dynasty, who ran a good race. It was well backed as well, 40s into 20s. It was only beaten a 0.7 of a length. And in 5th position, more or less having every chance, was the Resumer from the Snowden camp, ridden by Tommy Terrific Albrecht. When the winner travelled too well in the run, ridden by Jay Collette, he just rolled up the rise. He still had plenty of horse underneath him. As soon as they got over the rise, when he looked over, he saw that Albrecht was coming, and he was getting in between the leaders. He dug it up, and it had too good a turn of foot for the others. By the same token, Albrecht was doing better than it on the line. Only got beat a half a length, and as I say, after sitting in 4th position, it ran only beaten 0.7 of a length was My Destiny. The leader, the stablemate ran 4th. That's a Good Idea after sitting in 2nd position, and it was $5. Well, the flux on the winner, they said the best fluck was $2.70. There was a mile of $2.80 about it. That's a Good Idea, the stablemate. It went from $4.40 up to $6, back into $5.50, back out to $6, and it was a little bit hard to lay. Albrecht went from $4.40 up to $5.50, and well, they took $11 Dance on Stars and a little bit of money for Riva de Largo and also Under the Sun, and that was about the race. Race 5, 105.9 on the screen. But only about an even 100 in the marketplace, and this was won by the second favourite, Sweet Idea, who sat outside the leader, very, very well backed. They said the best fluck was $3.80. There was $4.20 given in the outside ring for a good bit of section. $4, I gave $4 in the outside ring as well, and I saw plenty of $4 on the fence, but the best flucked was only $3.80. It started $3.20 hard to get, so it was 13-4 into 9-4. We stuck it up the 10-9 favourite Guelph. 10-9 the field, got out to plenty of $2.40. Came into at one stage $2.25. You couldn't get the $2.30, but got out to $2.30. Fairly hard to get towards the end of betting. Ridden by Horseman Barnum. He got trapped a little bit wide in 3rd position on it, but when they were coming up the rise, the winner was still travelling sweetly outside Champagne Cat, whereas Guelph, Bowman was first to go for it, and when he did, she didn't have that real good turn of foot which he has displayed in the past, and sweet idea. It was able to show a little bit of, well, it had a good kick in it, and it was able to get a break, not a big break, a length and a half or so, and hold on and win by 0.8 of a length, beating Gypsy Diamond, who came from third last in between runners, or right down the outside actually, and or might have saved a bit of ground in between runners, and then and ran on very well. And the leader, it finished well off the fence. Champagne Cat, it finished up running. It held on for third position. Real Surreal, the runner that hadn't raced for quite a while, over a year, and had been racing in Queensland. It sat in fourth position, stuck on very well, and Arabian Gold, it ran fifth in the race, only beaten 1.4 lengths. Its run wasn't bad either. The favourite, even though it was trapped a bit wide there, it was very, very disappointing. A lot of money was won on that winner. It was extremely well backed. Race 6, 105.1, but in the marketplace, a good 7% less. We only got about 98, and I can see where the main difference is here straight away. It's with number 14, Gamblestown. Well, I was, we went up a $3.80 chance, 11 to 4 favourite, which I thought was rather short. I did mark it 9 to 1, and I was as kind as a kitten to it. I forced the issue all the way towards the, and I was fortunate enough to get a little bit of money out of it at $4.20 and $4.40 and $4.60 and $4.80 and $5 and $5.50, and laid it all the way up and got to $6 towards the finish. Someone made me wind it off. I made it $5.50, but it started $5.50 on my board, whereas the best luck is, I think, either $4.40 or $4.60. I think it's $4.60 the best luck, but I bet I bet $6, and there was $6 given on the rails as well. So there's about 6% difference straight away. And the winner here, Lee Baz, extremely well backed. It went straight to the front, the Owl. Lee Baz, ridden by Catwalk Corey Brown. He came across, sat on us outside. They never went hard in front. Canny Ballard from Barrier 1 sat in third position. It raced in a bit of restricted room after turning for home, but more or less it ran second, only beaten a length. And on its outside was Pitt Street, who finished up running fourth. So, and it made up a lot of ground. So its run was most probably the best run in the race. Seaside, it came from fourth or fifth last position. In between runners, was in between Australian Star, who was on the fence and trapped outside, three wide outside. It was Bugaboo, and it made up a good bit of ground in the straight to be beaten. 2 lengths of margins were won by one. Excuse me, and as I say, it made up plenty of ground. It was a bit easy in the marketplace. Seaside, we put it up a $4.60 chance and got out to $6.50 towards the end of betting. Whereas the winner, we only put it up a 4 to 1 chance, equal second pick with Seaside. But whereas the winner, got out to as much as $7, I saw about Labaz. It only started $4.60, so it was extremely well backed. They knew what they were doing. They're training a few winners at the moment, the Hawks team. Excuse me. And it was, as I say, able to have a cosy run outside the lead and hang on and win. Race 7, 103.6 on the screen, 101 in the marketplace. This race was won by the favourite, Appearance. We saw it beat Bobbin and Speediness and Moriarty and How Much Do You Love Me at its last start when it trotted in. It was a bit of a funny run race today. They jumped out. It tried to hold the lead, Alma's Fury. But then How Much Do You Love Me went around and found the lead on the fence. It got off at the fence. Alma's Fury sat on the south side. Looking at the pair was Speediness in third position. Then we had back on the fence the 500 to 1 chance Tree Mac on its outside Rain Drum after being in between runners, but when coming down the side, when Bobbin, who was behind Appearance, had moved up, Bowl Blakeshin eased off their heels and went up 3 wide, forcing Bobbin 4 wide coming to the turn. And back in last position was Moriarty. And when by the time they'd got to the turn, Bobbin, Blakeshin had eased back behind Bobbin and finished up coming around its heels after turning for home, topping the rise. Very similar to what it did to Bobbin last start. It accelerated extremely well. When he said, "Come on, let's go," Appearance, it went and it showed exactly the same turn of foot it did it when it won last start, and it sprinted. It got past Bobbin very, very easy, and after sitting in third position, Speediness had every chance. It held on for second, beaten a length and a half, and Moriarty was able to come off their heels after having soft run back in last position and ran third down the outside. The flux in this race were about, well, there was a couple less. The winner, $2.90, plenty of it given, and $3.30 about Bobbin given, and a little bit more, so there was about 2 less than what was in the marketplace. Then we got to the last race, and they said there was 109.1 on the screen, and it wasn't bad. There was only about 3 less in the marketplace, about 106. This race was won by Lily Bolero. We saw Jim the Pumper Cassidy on Southern Girl. It pulled on him very badly. It went out and led from barrier 1. It did run along at a good pace. It was when they got to the 600 metre mark, 3 lengths in front of Single Style. Then it was another 3 lengths to the winner, Lily Bolero, and another couple of lengths to the rest of them, headed by More Than Brave. When they turned for home and over the rise, Cassidy, he never left the fence. It's hard to believe that it actually missed a place. Southern Girl to finish up running 4th, beaten 2.2 lengths. But he let it, there was no good fighting, and he let it run, went along hard and fast. After they halfway up the straight, it was still clear with Single Style dropping off, and then all of a sudden Lily, the winner, the leader, stopping, and Lily Bolero starting to round it up, which it did. And then coming from well back in the field from third last position was Recoinage, who led last start, to come right down the outside and run second, beaten 1.8 lengths. And also, it sat in about 6, well, it did, it sat in fifth position. Any day will do. It was well backed, $8 into $5.50. It eased off heels and ran on fairly, beaten 1.9. And as I say, the leader, Southern Girl, finished up running 4th, beaten 2.2 lengths. The winner was very well backed. We put it up a $10 chance, got out to as much as 13, which I don't think you'd see on the flux. It came in to start, only $10, a 9 to 1 chance. She's Clean, they returned it 15 to 8, or $2.90. A blind man could have got $3 at the finish. It went from $2.60 up to $3. Jolie Bay, there was a bit of money for it at one stage at $8, but it started at $8.50. And so forth. Every runner in this race, except the leader, Southern Girl, was back. There was money for. There was every runner in this race had a firm well, besides the favourite, was backed at one stage. The favourite kept on getting out, as I say. On one stage they did take $2.60 out to $2.90, back into $2.80, but got back out to start, as I say, $3 towards the end of betting. That was about the meeting. More or less no bias on the track. I just a couple of things I could may be able to say here. When you're at the track, of course, you see when you watch the replays, we watch the course replay channel. I think it's Sky Channel on of course they do have monitors up with the TVN monitors with the races on them, and like I never watched TVN, but are they complete nut of who would be the person? Just who is the person who, they must be all ding dong dells there, who when they show the replays after every race, TVN, they say, and you look up, I've fallen into them a couple of times, and then you just know what's going to happen, so you don't even bother looking. They show the replay from the turn to the winning post. So you, as I say, I have fallen in a couple of times, so you see them turn for home, and then all of a sudden, all of Canterbury, for instance, on Friday night, then they sort of flatten out, and then they get this sort of shot where the camera goes woo, 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 like this, and it turns around, and you're more or less looking from underneath their feet. What's all that about? And then they swing it around as they're getting down towards the winning post, and they show the backsides of the horses going, and it's a real low ground shot going past the winning post. The person who does the videos there, he must be an absolute genius. It might be a new way of looking at horse racing. There might be something in it, or the bloke or the people who are involved showing those shots just do not understand anything about racing. It doesn't mean a thing. What are you trying to prove? Or if you're trying to help people who are cross-eyed or something, are you? Like, don't. Why in the hell they don't? They're not. They're the most stupid thing I've ever seen in my life. What else has been happening? Not a real lot. Of course, the provincial meetings. The provincial meetings are becoming very, very tough these days. Very, very few patrons are turning up. Well, what about this for a mother in the glory? 2 Sundays ago at the meeting at Gosford, I must admit the secretary at Gosford, he's a trier. He's a very hard. He's a trier. He's trying to do his best all the time for the club. For a bit of a promotion to try and get more people to the track that Sunday, 2 Sundays ago. I don't know whether it cost the club any money, but they got the Mariners, the soccer team up there to come get to the racetrack. So all of the soccer players turned up at the racetrack. It was well advertised on the radio there during the week and in the local newspapers. The Mariners, if you're a member of the Mariners Football Club, come to the races on Sunday. They'll be there to sign autographs, and they're going to have a race up the straight. And if you're a member and you show your membership, you don't have to pay any entry fee. You don't have to pay your way in. You get free entry. And I think he said to himself, well, if we can get, apparently there are 6,000 members of the Mariners. He said, well, if we can get 10% of them to come, 600, it'd be a good result. As it turned out, only 1% came. There were 60 people came, families or wherever they were, 60 came. They watched the Mariners run up the straight, signed a couple of autographs, and the Mariners and the 60 people all walked out the gate. And, it's just, and of course, the place was an absolute ghost town. It's a Sunday. These Sunday meetings, are they cracking jokes, are they? That's when we're going to hold our strike, on a Sunday. We're going to say, now, down tools, all the hickey hockeys, the trainers, and the captain cookies. We're all going to say, no, better get the tab to get some horses and put them together and race yourself somewhere. We're not having to do. We're calling a national strike it's going to be on a Sunday. And I even the other night I was sitting there and I said, I'm going to find out. Of course, I've got this this beautiful mirror, and it's a mirror, mirror on the wall job. And I said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who are the best captains of them all? And the mirror said, well, you know the answer to that. I said, well, that's what I'm asking you. Tell me. I know. I want to verify it. He said, well, it's very, very easy. We know it's not the filthy cancer of racing, the TAB. I said, oh, I know that. He said, yes, because they bet unders every runner, yeah, and they don't even bet. They're a bookie themselves now, you know, the TAB, and they're the only ones not betting best flucked. The tap's got to start. If you want to be a Captain Cookie, TAB, and you want to bet fixed odds, you've got to start betting best flucked, like all of the other captains in Australia do. Are you cracking jokes? You've got it one out. What if we all didn't bet best flucked like you? And I said, well, well, come on, that's not. You said they're definitely not the best captains. So they're the worst. I said, well, there's not many left. There were the corporates, and they said, oh well, the corporates. No, the corporates, they're very, very bad. You hear about these big bets they lay, and that's just to their best steam tug customers. And if you've got half a brain there, you are not allowed to have a bet. You're not allowed to have a wager with them. And if you sneak under the radar and you do happen to back a winner, you get barred straight away. So I said, well, is there not many left? He said, yes, you know what the answer is. And I said, well, is it us captains on the course? He said, of course it is. You captains on the course are by far the best, give the fairest and the best deal to all of the punters. And the reason being, you blokes are bloody complete and utter imbeciles. For a start, you can't add up, and especially of a Saturday, you bet most of the time under 100% all the time. Is it real money you blokes are betting with? How come there's not a fence built around all these racetracks to stop the people getting this money that you blokes are giving away? Of course you blokes on course are the best Captain Cookies. You're the best subjects we've ever come across. The tab's the worst, the corporates are second, but it's a long, long gap. And you blokes on course are by far, far the best. So tell you young people who are out there pressing those iPhones and betting with the TAB fixed odds that don't open up an account. My cucumbers on my website here. All you got to do is ring me, open up an account, and I'll bet you the best flucked anywhere you want to bet. Good evening.